Are you ready to stream?
This is really funny. Really funny. What do you mean I'm funny? It's funny, you know.
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, not what you don't.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
Rock Flux.
Making up the rules as we go along.
And here we are on Wednesday, 5:05 Eastern Standard Time in the former United States. I'm Tony Caravan, and it's July 21st in the calendar year 2021. So we got two 21s for you people into some kind of numerology or whatever the heck that means. And that's the name of that tune. So,
Okay.
I got a bunch of junk on the screen. It's cartoon time. A lot of crazy stuff going on around the world. I'm sticking with this kind of pastel-y painted colorization, which is kind of neat from the distance. Close up on my replacement TV, you know, there's a little bit of graininess, though I'm apparently broadcasting in HD. 30 frames per second. I tried to put some extra ice cubes in, and I don't know if that's going to help or not. 5:06 a.m. I got up at 3 something. This eye was bothering me. The eye, look at that. It's like I must be scratching it on something, and I sleep. But at least I was smart enough, or whatever, to put some of those drops in my eye.
Good morning.
Good morning, folks, or as they say in some parts, howdy. I'm coming to you from the mid-Atlantic states, basically about a mile away from the entrance to the Northern Appalachian Trail. I just like when I give you the
Weather Watch forecast.
When I give you that thing. I like to give you an idea, a vantage point, a geographical location, and put this into perspective. It's currently 66 degrees outside of my studio here, and the high for today is going to be 75 degrees, which is nice. I have the back window open, so we shouldn't have any CPU problems unless I got a dust buildup in there. And overnight's going to be 55 degrees. There's a 30% chance of a thunderstorm. And tomorrow it's going to be a little bit warmer, getting close to 80, and actually the next couple days. And then as the weekend progresses, it gets hotter and hotter until we bake. No. Still in the 80s, low 80s, so you really got nothing to worry about.
The Weather Watch forecast.
Because remember, we're still in the dog days of summer technically. So actually the weather it's not hotter, it's actually cooler. You know, this is cool for the dog days of summer. It's continued to August 14th, if I didn't say that already before. But I believe I did. Anyway. So, all of that said, let's not forget.
I am not a number. I am a free man.
You didn't have to shout it. To shout it so loud. So let's see what this show is really all about. This is kind of going to be a musical. We're going to talk a little bit about some music and what's going on in the world. And, of course, as always,
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
You know, it's a little bit of me and a little bit of you. So that's the thing. You notice the Rock Flux logo up in the corner there above the sea monkeys. You know, with the bolt of lightning coming through. which is interesting. I had designed that logo. You know, it's not perfectly clean. It's made for a white background, so you can see a little bit of whiteness around it. But the thing about it is, you know, it's so true to, I mean, we did literally years ago, and this is rock. You can go to rockflux.com and get, and, you know, and that's one of my websites. And there's a link way down at the bottom that leads to TonyCaravanLive.com. And you can buy a shirt and stuff from that too. But the Rockflux thing is very old. It goes back to the 90s, where it used to had our first webcast, and we used to have broadcast music then. And that was a very interesting thing. So if you notice the title card today, it looked like this. And it says, "Fun with Booze and Tunes." Yesterday I had a few beers and a couple of cigars that were surprisingly fresh. This receiver, that rectangular thing that's covered with wires and various objects, dart, no longer exists. That was in that building that got destroyed by that hoarding guy, for those who are regular followers of my show. But I mean, oh man. And I was so happy. I had bought that receiver. I mean, this is 20 years ago that I think I bought that. Something like that. I got it on eBay, and I was so happy. I had purchased like 3 different receivers on YouTube. I'm not YouTube, I mean eBay. And you know, one of them came, the guy put it in a box, and it didn't even have like any kind of padding in it at all. None of that popcorn stuff or even bubble wrap. And the corner was totally broken. The thing was destroyed. And that was like a Harman Kardon, you know, classic. And this one, I'm going to try to enlarge it. I'm not sure this is a Kenwood. And which was another good name, you know, in those days. And you could see, if you look at the bottom, all those little push switch, the loudness and all these different things, and the dial lights up, and, you know, it was just great. And the reason I have all those wires there is I had wired up one of those cheap CD players, that circular thing to the right of the receiver, so that I had it powered by an AC adapter instead of the two AA batteries or something that it took. And then coming out of it, I have this, instead of a headphone jack, I put in this thing that created a stereo to RCA jacks that I could plug into the receiver. And I had in-wall speakers. This was in my downstairs bar. Classic place. For those few people who have had a chance to hang there for a whole night, because we used to do all-nighters, like really long nights there. And that was a genuine Irish pub built in my basement. It was small, but it was nice. And there was like one of those imaginary little that lighted fish tank. I forgot about that till I found this picture again yesterday. And there's a Picasso with a candle behind it that has been lost somewhere. And for some reason, I think that yo-yo survived of all the things. Anyway, that's a title card. Fun with Booze and Tunes. And it's not like the idea, it's... Yesterday, I had some, I found some good music when I was listening. Because I decided to, you know, it's harder to just come up with songs. And I was using that 1,000, if you watch this show, I don't know, a week ago or so, I had this book, and I have this book. It's out and it's in the bar. And it's 1,000 album covers. Sorry for the slurp. 1,000 album covers over, I don't know, from like the 50s to the maybe 80s, getting close to 90s or something like that. And I used it out there because that's where I have that echo dot thing. And so, you might think it's easier than it is to think of songs. So I was like paging through that, looking at an album cover, and then that would, play that. And, but, that got old, and I played some of those albums, and it's out there, and I page through it every now and then, get a little inspiration. But yesterday, I just looked at my collection of music, through iTunes, set it to the album setting, and was looking at, a lot of songs that I just have one song of or so. But I saw the album covers of that too, because it's the way to do it. And I found, well, we don't get into that just yet. Title card. I mean, we can get into that anytime we want to. She's my latest. So I was I saw this image of Hall & Oates' No Goodbyes album. Okay. And I said, the name of the woman, voice assistant, play Hall & Oates' No Goodbyes. And man, I'm telling you, I forgot how great this album was. I mean, basically every song on it is a classic. If you're a Hall & Oates fan, in fact, maybe if you're not a Hall & Oates fan, because this is old Hall & Oates. This would be, in my book, classic Hall & Oates. This would be more like if you saw At Daryl's House, and some of the guests request some of the, want to do some of the classic Hall & Oates songs. But this one has incredible stuff on it, incredible stuff on it. And I just wanted to give it a free plug, Yeah. No Goodbyes is the name of the album. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. And so that's what I was trying to get at. So when I was like listening to, the old days, we used to have the receiver. We used to make party CDs. That's why I had that little weird contraption set up with that CD. Upstairs was the office, the agency office. And at the end of the day, on a drinking day, a day we decided we'd have happy hours. We didn't do it all the time. We would make, and there were two of us that did this. We would each make a, like a party CD. Like in the old days, people used to make a mix cassette or something. And we actually even made packaging for them, the whole thing. We'd figured out this neat thing where you could fold a piece of paper. And I don't know if I showed that once on one of my shows. I think I showed how to do that. But we got pretty elaborate with it. And so we actually, made these. They were like a package CD for the day. And each of us made one. So it was different perspectives of music on it. And those would be like the starters of the happy hours. And and obviously everything plugged through that beautiful lost receiver. And it's just part of history that's gone. I mean, today that receiver's been replaced by these tiny things. I have one here if I can get to it without damaging a million things. I mean, today, this is what they're using. And believe me, I mean, you've got your audio in, RCA in, your speakers out, and that little black dot besides the RCA plugs is like the headphone out or your audio out. And that little black square on the opposite side is your AC in. So this is what they push as a receiver now. Compared to that beautiful work of art, below it. Of course, there's no tuner on here. There's no loudness controls. I mean, what's this thing on here? This is one thing on there. No, that's just tone direct. So it has a thing to where whatever its presets are versus you setting your own tone. There's no also on that particular one. I have another one similar to that at least has a balance on it. You know, like you can go in the left-hand voice. You could go in the right-hand speaker with your voice. You could have your voice in the center of both loudspeakers. So, you know, it was fun. Actually, if you look at the fun with booze, I'll enlarge this thing. If you look under the word tunes, you'll see these like little squares. You know, a square with little squares within it. And that actually was one of the homemade jackets, CD jackets that we used to make. So this was probably, since the lights are on the receiver, this was probably a picture taken while we were listening to music. And so there's something about that, you know, that's just lost from, yeah. You know, it's like sometimes you don't have to. I said this once before. You don't have to reinvent the wheel or build a better mousetrap. You know, and to get into a real philosophical and, you know, scientific coding argument of that idea is to say all this transhumanism and AI and everything is the same thing. You know, you got this bioelectric brain. And why? You know, like the kid I would talk about all the time. Why? Why? It's why are you messing with these, trying to recreate, build a better mousetrap, build a better wheel? All right? We already have the greatest androids invented, however, right? However you view this, if you view this from a biblical standpoint and, you know, we were created, all right? Whether you believe in that guy with the big hair from Ancient Aliens, that we were genetically modified, or we're aliens ourselves, whether you believe in Thoth and the Emerald Tablets and stuff like that, and that we're from various different planets and had to do with Atlanteans and the breakup of Lemuria, Atlantis, and all that stuff. I mean, wherever your head's at, or if you're just a, you know, straight ahead, you know, scientist who believes in scientism, you know, you still, you know, and we've gone over it show after show, you know, if you could have Da Vinci, if you could have Einstein, if you can have savants, then it's possible that humans could surpass computers. In fact, I recently saw a video documentary of a guy with an amazing brain. I think it originally appeared on like Discovery Channel like 20 some years ago. It was an old thing, but it looked familiar once I started watching it. And I didn't watch the end. Don't ask me why I did that. So, anyway, take a look at your lifeline. That's a line in, it's a song called I Want to Know You for a Long Time, Hall & Oates from the No Goodbyes album. A song I completely, totally forgot about. There were about four songs on there that I just had forgotten. But they were great songs. Dang. I keep my wheel keeps going over this. Excuse me. I don't do this. That's what I was trying to do, but in the meantime, I totally whacked out my entire seat. See, the cable to my headphones is too long, but if it wasn't too long, I wouldn't be able to go and get extra ice and do stuff like that. And I'm winded because I smoked a couple cigars. And it messes with your lungs, you know. Like Real Brenner said, there used to be a commercial on in the 70s, whatever you do, don't smoke. And he's right. You shouldn't really smoke. So that was that. So I was listening to No Goodbyes, and then I listened to another album by them. And what I wanted was, originally, was I was trying to get this album. And this is Al Hirt, who was a great horn player. And do you know who that girl is? Probably one of the sexiest singer, dancer, actresses out there. She was in many Elvis movies. Well, the name's right on top of it, Ann Margaret. And she did this album, and I played this once. I used to have a copy of this, literally, and I played this on my show in the 90s, my lounge show, the longest-running lounge show on the internet. And, in fact, I still have a copy of the song I played. It was called The Best Man, and I can see here, it's harder for you to see, but it's on there. And I asked my voice assistant to play it, and it said I can't do that. I also asked it to play Lounge-a-Palooza. It says I can't do that right now. The responses you get from these things is ridiculous. But anyway, just to give you an idea how sexy this woman was. 21 sexy hits, Ann Margaret. Look at that doll. She was crazy. I mean, she was like crazy, crazy beautiful, crazy personality. Like one of those women that's just hard to deal with. Like, you know, like she's so like on all the time. There used to be this girl I knew in my, I went back to my hometown for a couple of years. Had a blast. And there was this girl that was a friend. Well, she was my friend, but I mean, she was originally a friend of another friend, and then we became friends, and then blah, blah, blah. And one time, we were hanging out in this bar and just playing the jukebox. There weren't many people there. And she wanted to, like, dance. And it's like, my style of dancing is like everything else I do. I just did it figured out. You know, do it my way, you know, whatever. There's no, though apparently when I was a child, I did have dancing lessons, or something weird like that. I have no idea. Apparently. But not that kind of dancing lessons. Like, I don't know. My mom put me in with these girls, like tap dancing or some kind of weird thing like that. Really, something bizarre like that. Because she thought I was going to be an entertainer. And later on, just to make this story last longer, speaking of bars in that town, one night I was drinking, and one of the girls from that dance studio, I'm talking about when I was like, 5 or 7 or something. I mean, really young. My young years are a blur. And this beautiful girl came up to me next to me at the bar. And I knew her name and stuff, but I didn't put two and two. She said, you know, we used to be in dance class together. And she was, oh man, she was gorgeous. But anyway, to get back to Anne Margaret. So I knew this other girl who was like kind of an Anne Margaret personality. And if you have to be, you have to be somebody who really, like I always say, you know, knows the flavors and tastes of all the various types of women that are out there, you know, because a lot of women are just women. I mean, even, you know, it's like the models and the beauties, you know, when you go into cities, it's like there's a type of woman, you know, and it's a certain, women say the same thing about guys, so this isn't like sexist. But there's a certain type, you know, categories. Women fall into categories. And so you go, okay, yeah, I know what she's like. And, you know, you talk to her and you're able to talk to her and whatever. You end up together, and it's, yeah. But then there's somebody like Anne Margaret, you know, and she's what would be referred to as a true, like a real original and like about as outgoing as you can, and trying to dance with her. All right. She's like, the expressions on her face and stuff are just hard to deal with. And what you want to do is, if you watch like one of these old Elvis movies where she's dancing and you get like a glimpse at her facial expressions, like how, not so much animated, but just how intense, and just like, and imagine you being like face to face with that, and just, it's an experience. And I knew a girl like that's how she got when she danced, and it was like Anne Margaret. I know this may be useless to most people, and I have zero people viewing this thing right. But for guys who've had that experience or have met some of these incredible, these real wild cards, there's not many like, in other words, you know, when they say they broke the mold, I haven't seen anyone like Anne Margaret at all, you know, since her. She was something else. A wild redhead. She was crazy. Anyway, that's Anne Margaret. So, the name of the album, Let Me Entertain You, 21 Sexy Hits. I mean, she knew that. But, you know, Hall & Oates, that was the album, if, you know, Get Back Down on Earth. And, of course, I wanted to do this. This is, you know, because I'm starting some regular things on the show just to share these things, you know, since, you know, it is my show and all that stuff. And
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
now what you're seeing here is the cutting board from my kitchen, right? You know, like I say, everything I show you is either from my collection, public domain, or something I purchased or created or something weird like that. I'm not one of these people that just takes things off the internet. So I wanted to make a healthy wrap, you know, like a tortilla wrap sandwich, minus the bread, but just in a wrap. And obviously this is too many ingredients, and that thing was very hard to hold together while I ate it. But the lettucey looking stuff is actually chopped 2 types of lettuce and kale from grown in my backyard. Like I mentioned yesterday when I showed that sub, apart from that bigger piece in the top, you see how I chopped it up finely. That's the secret, you know. And that beautiful, those tomatoes sliced there, that's a tomato from my backyard that I grew. You know, think about that. So the bulk of the sandwich, what filled the bulk of the sandwich, that kale and 2 types of lettuce and all of that tomato, stuff I grew. And you could eat a lettuce and tomato sandwich, but maybe sometimes I put a little bit of mayo on it. And that's all you need, and that's a sandwich. But I had these onions, so I decided to chop up an onion. That little red chopped things down at the bottom, that's red bell pepper. And they're highest in vitamin C. They're very healthy for you, the red ones, as opposed to those green things. The bell peppers. Okay? And for some reason, my email's opening. I'm just going to close that and quit because my CPU's gone up. And, I had these eggs, so I chopped up an egg. Those are 2 slices of provolone cheese. And that other chopped stuff that's a little bit off-white is garlic. And some people say, garlic in a sandwich? Well, what you do is you chop garlic up, let it sit for close to 5 minutes, and this allicin comes out of it. And that is the thing. That is one of the best, most healthy things you can have released into your body. And when you put all of this into a sandwich, and I also put turmeric with black pepper, because whenever you put turmeric in, you have to have black pepper. That kind of makes the turmeric work. And these things are, this is like medicinal sandwich. I put some seasoned olive oil sprinkled on it once I put it into sandwich form, and then put a little bit of mayonnaise over. And then as this all was like turned into this wrap thing, it tasted delicious. The garlic wasn't overpowering or anything like that. The onions weren't overpowering. Nothing. It just all came together. And it was literally like medicine, You've got this healthy garlic. You've got this healthy red bell peppers, these healthy greens, the lycopene from a fresh cut, grown tomato. Even onions, the reason onions give people bad breath and stuff is they're germ killers. They in your mouth, they're killing bacteria and stuff like that. And of course, eggs had gotten a bad rap years ago, but now people know that they're good for you. So that's my food and garden little bit of advice for the day. And, because this show, it's like
quality, quantity, and variety.
Rock Flux.
Let's get this show on the road.
But it's variety. It's a variety show. Though I'm not going to tap dance. Though, man, that girl, she's not watching this. And she was another one. She just had that body, that thing. She had bigger, she'd need a bigger bra than that. But, we're not going to forget about our Amazon girl here. Let's not forget about that honey. Yeah. These are very important things to have in the morning. We need to have that in the morning. Fans of this show will understand, just like we need to have this.
Really funny. Really funny.
These are very important things. Now, you know that. You know that. You know what I'm trying to say. And lately, I think I'm falling in love with this model girl. I don't know. I forget who took that picture. What, whatever. But it's what it's what life's all about, man. It's what life's all about. So there I was, bonus image on Anne Margaret. Even in that picture, just look at the face. You could see that she's got that, just a little craziness to her, but a good, healthy, Like, she's wild. She's wild. You know, those kind of women are nice. You know, people who don't haven't explored, the women, I feel sorry for them because it's like, it's fun to do. And it was fun for me. I mean, I did it my whole life. I have a lot of heartbreaks and letdowns over the years. I mean, I may be smiling right now, but I mean, because you could fall hard for some of these girls, really hard. But the experience in retrospect, once you're out of it, time passes and all that. You forget about the heartbreak and you just remember, you go like, wow, that was, that one, that was nice. Yeah. That was nice. But yeah, this highly recommend album of the day. We're going to call this album of the day or album art. Daryl Hall, John Oates, No Goodbyes. I wish I could play it. If this was really a normal morning show, we'd be getting into it.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Well, it's going okay. And I was just telling the fine folks out there that it's a pity we can't, play music. But nonetheless, we're going to have a good morning and get this show started. It's 5:41 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. A friend sent me some video clip that I saw first thing in the morning, which I can't talk about because it's about that thing that you're not allowed to talk about. I saw a thing with a Rand Paul yesterday going after a guy. You can't really talk about that. And it's like all this stuff is coming out. And it's all basically stuff you can't talk about because it's a media blackout. It's like the only thing you could talk about is booze, music, and beautiful girls. So I guess that's what this show is going to be about. Booze, music, and beautiful women. But, that's what life's all about anyway. So, what is your pursuit? Your pursuit of happiness. Anyway, good times. I guess is another way of looking at it. People want to have a good time. And I'm caught into some kind of weird thing. Why are you doing that to me? As they say. I just got into this mode where I was shifting things around in a way in which I didn't want to do. Didn't want to look at that. So that's it in a nutshell. What other album did it not allow me to play? Oh, I listened to some David Bowie. I listened to the Diamond Dogs album. It took me about 3 or 4 times to get my voice assistant to play that. So, so this is another thing. Yesterday was a prime example of this world that they're trying to create, how it kind of backfired and fell apart. Because while I was sitting there at the bar, which is actually a line from that Hall & Oates album, that's that song I was talking about a moment ago, I came back into this room, because the bar room's over there. You see my thumb. It's over behind her. And I did this delivery service. Okay? And I only ordered 10 items, 10 or 12 items. Just some things I needed. Some more. I had some Dr. Pepper, but I only have like 4 of those left. So I ended up ordering like a 12-pack of this Diet Faygo thing, which I don't particularly like, but it's almost like tasteless. So it's I mix the two of them together, and it kind of works out. But, you know, a 12-pack of soda, carrying that a mile in a bag, could you imagine that? Not really the greatest thing. And I use paper towels. I don't like to generally use paper products, but because I have a cat and for cleanup purposes, I find that the paper, I could just cheap paper towels. I don't have to buy expensive ones. And they're biodegradable and everything, so there's nothing wrong with a paper towel. You know, even if you're an environmentalist. They're mostly made from from recycled paper to begin with. And they just totally just disintegrate, you know, and become soil, you know. It's like cardboard, you know, really. So anyway, but they take up room. So if you had like if you had a 12-pack of Diet Cola, which is heavy on top of it, especially then these give them to you in these plastic bags they give you at these grocery stores that tear. So you have to like triple bag to carry that. And that's one arm, right? And then if you have a double pack of paper towels or something like that, and I wanted to get some of these things for one of those Swiffer type of things, the refills for those mops, because I seriously need to like clean my floors, give them the once over. And so that would have been just those 3 items alone would have been like 2 handfuls, you know, trudging up a mile uphill. And I'm like, I'll just order it online. And while I'm at it, I'll get a couple of other items. So I ordered about 10 items. And there were some neat things there. There was like an old Frosty root beer. I don't know if you know what Frosty is. I remember it from my father's print shop. He used to have it in his soda machine there. It was like the best root beer. And I ordered a black cherry seltzer water, right? And because I was having this stomach disorder, which I wouldn't call it disorder, but I was just getting an upset stomach because I was just drinking these colas and like just having like some kind of fiber bar or something in the morning. This morning I had a yogurt with like granola, blueberries, a little bit of raw honey, cinnamon, and some organic coconut flakes. That was what I had. That's pretty healthy. And so I don't think my stomach's going to be upset. And that's good stuff. But I also ordered like a dozen eggs and those little sausages, like breakfast sausages. Cost like $1. And I ordered 2 boxes of the sausages. And while I was at it, I just looking at some cheap stuff just to fill out the order. And I got like a extra sharp cheese, one of those little packs of extra sharp cheese it was like for $1.09 or something. That's so cheap. Well, anyway, the delivery was over an hour late from the time they said. Okay, so that was number 1 failure. And I'm figuring I got eggs and this guy's driving through 80-degree weather, you know. Are these eggs going to be any good? So the 2 bags come. They're sitting on the chair out front. I grab them. I look. Instead of the black cherry seltzer water, he just willy-nilly, it gives me strawberry. Well, I don't like strawberry. I hate strawberry seltzer water. I like strawberries if I had a strawberry itself, but I don't like the flavor strawberry. All right? It's like one time I bought a multi-pack of assorted beers that they come now like that, and there were like 2 strawberries in there. I just had to keep them in my refrigerator till at one point a friend came down who like could, drinks that. That's good, that's like a girly drink in my mind. Strawberry. So I have it sitting here. Next time she comes down, I'll give her it. But I only got one of the sausages instead of 2 boxes. No Frosty, though I put the substitute. He put it. It was like listed where they list on there why they didn't buy an item. Well, in advance, I had the option. There was some kind of frosty cream and a substitution. Instead I substituted the root beer. Well, on his thing was that the cream was not available. Yeah. Well, I know the cream wasn't available. In fact, I didn't even want the frickin' cream. I wanted the frosty root beer because I like root beer. And I didn't order 2 things of sharp cheese. I ordered 2 things of sausage. And I didn't order strawberry seltzer water. Right? And there was some other thing. So he was an hour late. And there were like 3 or 4 screw-ups. So now I have the thing, So here's some guy. I don't want to get the guy fired. But, they send you this email. I have the email turned off, but it's like, how did we do? And, they got the 5 stars so you could, like, fill in to give a rating. And then it takes you to a page where you can tip them more or something, So instead, but, this is a new service. So instead, I'm going to have to... basically give the guy a mediocre rating. I'll probably give him 3 stars, but I'll have to fill in the description thing. Like mustache. This side goes this way. This side goes that way. But I'm going to have to put in the description the list of things that happen. And the people who watch this show, and they kind of might know what I'm talking about.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And because this is this part. And another time I got a bag of something that I didn't order, and there was another time that I didn't get some key items. So, these services, this is what I'm talking about. People are functionally illiterate. And so even in these services that are replacing the so-called jobs that, are disappearing because of, robotics, the Roombas filling the orders in the factories, and the kiosks and the online ordering and all that stuff. Well, even these people, it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Like, let's say, for example, I had this girl over yesterday for happy hours. And we had fun, we made love, and I promised her that I would make her this big breakfast, right? With eggs and sausage and home fries and all that stuff from scratch in the kitchen. And I'd get up a little bit earlier and I'd be in the kitchen cooking this, great meal. Just, and she could just wake up at her leisure, come down, and I'd have this plate for her. Well, this nincompoop, Dummkopf, would have spoiled my my morning. See, what they don't understand is that you order a thing because you want a thing. You know, it's like their minds, they don't think. They're functionally illiterate because their lives are simplistic. All they do is eat takeout frozen pizzas or takeout pizzas. You know what I mean? They have no concept of why it didn't deliver what I wanted. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just another example how everything's falling apart right before our eyes. You know, I even saw some more stuff about these guys. You know, the people talking more and more about the upcoming crash of the economy. And like I said, that video I watched this morning, which I can't even talk about, because first of all, it's such a mind blower. You know, what's being said about the unspeakable right now. There's so much information coming out that we have been not just deceived, all right, but we've actually been, well, I don't even know how to say it. I used to say it earlier, you know, in my earlier shows when I used to do this. Right. That we're cattle to them. And that once we no longer serve a purpose, then they put you out to pasture, which is another, you know, or basically, you know, turn you into something, you know.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
I know that sounds that way, but it's the truth, man. It's the truth. You know, and you almost feel like this.
Good thing that I don't have dangerous brain powers, or right now you'd be in 1,000 little pieces.
You know, but, you know, there's nothing to do, and living well is the best revenge, and I guess this is it. So, you know, spread the word. Tony Caravan live show. We'll talk about music. We'll touch on the unspeakable things, but we will, you know, we have to allude to them only. But in many cases, we'll just, it's going to be about beautiful women, good music, and how to live a happy and fulfilled life. Thank you. Canned laughter and canned clapping. It's pretty funny. But after all, this is
The station for more fun in the sun. Fun radio.
It's fun radio and it's fun internet. And let's not lose track of that, because that's the main thing. If you don't have fun, what good is it? You know? You got to have fun. I've been so long from this side of my sound effects. There are many, many effects here that I've forgotten about. Yeah.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
You're fired.
So, yeah, you're fired, man.
Your papers, please.
I just can't believe that they're keeping this thing going as long as, you know, that's the thing. I just can't believe it. How? Why? You know, well, the why is they want to, you know, put us out to pasture. Too many of us. They don't need us anymore. That's the name of that tune. All right, I'll take that girl off. Yeah, I'm sorry. But I actually wanted to put the rock flux thing in the lower right-hand corner. But that's kind of where they put the live thing. Or that the time is usually there. Right? So, but that's like kind of where it belongs. You know, somewhere down here. So maybe we'll just ignore their, what they do. And that's that. I also could move over the Tony Caravan Live Worldwide webcast thing and put it in that corner. But I kind of like the way the Sea Monkeys thing is going right now. For the time being. Rock Flux. I've also noticed in the playback, at least on my TV app, that that there's a little bit of a cutoff on one of the sides. I still can't get the stage left, stage right thing down because it doesn't make sense. That's why I'm having such problems when I'm trying to point to things. Because I thought I had it figured out, but yesterday I was saying stage left, which should have been stage left. If anybody who's theatrical or understands that. And it wasn't like, it's weird. It's like this is the monitor I'm using, which is, the way this is set up, is like a mirror within a mirror within a mirror or something. It's like really wackadoodle. The Andy Warhol. So yeah, it's crazy what's going on right now. It's crazy. I even asked my voice assistant this morning while I was laying in bed about what's going on in South Africa, and it just said something about 34 out of 36 entrances to the border were sealed off or something. And then that was it. Like, what's that supposed to mean? Some crazy stuff going on. I don't know. I just have this feeling that you have to, wherever you are, you've got to somehow insulate yourself from the madness. And if you're somebody who gets upset or somebody who's like, a junkie, news junkie, you got to break that habit. You really do. Because everything they're telling you, everything is a lie. Everything is a lie. Everything you know is wrong. And you don't know what you don't know. And I could repeat that till I'm blue in the face, which I probably could do with this program. Make myself blue. And even on YouTube, everybody knows that, and on all social media, that it's just all full of people who are just clickbaiting, fear-mongering, trying to make a buck, and just doing sensational things, It's like this weird phenomenon where people they get themselves worked up into a frenzy, and then they start telling these stories, and they're almost believable because they're seem to be semi-hysterical or crying or something like that. But the whole idea is it's just some weird psychological thing. You'd have to talk to a psychiatrist about that, or a psychologist, somebody who studies that, that kind of thing, personality disorder, that brings people on those shows like Coast to Coast. Sometimes you'll get callers and they call in and they're but they're really just they're just full of it. But they're they get themselves into this frenzy. So So you got to watch out for that stuff on like YouTube. Excuse me. And of course, in this day of photoshopping and all this other kind of fake things that people can do, it's like, why? They have no life. And so they have to like mess with people. I mean, we know why the media, the main media, the billionaire class and then the sub $20 million announcers, we know why they do what they do, because that's mercenary. They're doing it for money, right? But these other people that mess with individuals, they just do it for, to mess with people and I don't know, attention, or maybe they don't even want attention, just because they're messing to just mess with people, to feel power somehow, right? Or they get some sick, enjoyment out of the misery of others, right? Of scaring someone or something weird like that, or ruining somebody's life. So, it's funny, when you have 300 and, according to my assistant this morning, 326 million people in the United States. I don't know where she pulled that out of. But when you got 326 million people, in a geographical area, I mean, you're talking millions and millions of people that are just whacked out of their mind. And that's still like 1% of the population. It's like this thing that you can't talk about that's really only like killed, less than 1%, or affected, you know what I mean? Whatever. So the idea is that, but they still, it's the way, like I say, everything's just, it's just way out. It's way out. And there's nothing that's going to change. This is insane. It's going to stay this way. It's just going to get progressively worse. And I talk about it every day, and I'm going to say it again. You can't save America. You can't build back better. All right? The Great Reset has already been implemented. And so the thing you got to do now is you got to take care of yourself. Right? Take care of your own sanity by not exposing yourself and getting caught up into a frenzy of all this fear-mongering, number one. Because it's going to drive you literally nuts, This is insane. And then what do? It's like, then what? And so you got this beautiful world we live in. We know that, right? And why forsake it for some, I don't know, it's like a one-upsmanship on social media platforms, right? Look at this. Well, look at this meme I found. Or look at this stuff. Look what I found. Look at this tweet. It's all crazy. Now, that's not to say that there isn't stuff out there that just blows your mind, that the truth is like, the truth is stranger than fiction, That line is like so never been truer. The truth is stranger than fiction right now. And we're snowballing, just off the deep end, off a cliff. Now you say, well, that's fear-mongering, what you're saying. It's like, no. What I'm trying to say is that if you take inventory of your life, wherever you are, I mean, unless you're living in pure hell, and if you are, you've got to get out of there. You got to like I told you what to do about that. Take inventory, take the piece of paper, draw the line down the middle, pros and cons, likes, dislikes, things that are good in your life, things that aren't good in your life. Make that list, figure it out, and then make a plan to escape or to make positive change, affect positive change in your life. That's if you're in a situation like that. And if you're in a worse situation where that's not even possible, then seek professional help, because there is so much professional help out there. And in many cases, it's free of charge. If you're a veteran and you're having problems, you got to call the VA. If you're a, impoverished person and you are having problems with, your mind, drugs, or something else, you got to reach out and call, a suicide helpline, or you got to reach out for help, right? And if you're somebody of means and things just aren't right in your head, and you notice this, then you've got to contact seek psychiatric help. If it's that bad, you have to reach out and not be afraid to reach out. And if it's lesser than that, you can talk, you got to talk. Hopefully you have a friend or somebody you can talk to, get some advice. But otherwise you have to make a plan. If it's not that bad, you've got to make a plan to get yourself out of behind whatever 8 ball you're behind, so that you could find a quality of life, that makes you happy, that's less stressful. I mean, every day is not going to be a fun day. I used to have a thing like that. Every day is a fun day. Or was that the thing I just played a moment ago? Maybe it was. Okay. It's like even when I drank yesterday, I mean, this whole idea of the title card, there's no picture of booze here, but I mean, this was from my old bar. Though the cartoon dog character from that old show, that thing he's holding in his hand is actually a cocktail mixer. But the idea is that, the downfall of that is I had like about 2 hours of fun listening to, like I say, albums like, just albums I hadn't heard in a long time, like No Goodbyes by Daryl Hall and John Oates. But, when I went upstairs, turned on the TV to watch some YouTube stuff. I think I watched the rest of my show because I didn't watch it yesterday. Because I watch these things in their entirety. And I liked it. Yesterday's wasn't a bad show. And then I've been watching this series that I've seen before. It's called The Fall with Gillian Anderson from The X-Files. And it plays like this chief inspector type of thing. It's a British, one of these British. Well, it actually takes place in Belfast. And there's a lot of, characters in there that really are, real Irish, have that real Irish voice. that is so, I mean, I just love it, you know, especially women. You know, I like women that have a strong Irish accent. You know, to me, that's like really cool. You know, it's like, yeah, love it. Just keep talking. Keep talking. It's like when I was down in Australia, I used to like hearing the Australian women talk, you know, but not as much as the Irish, you know, it's one of my favorite accents, so to speak, to me, you know, just I love their voices, the way they say their words. But a weird thing, this is, you know, and this is, you know, it's not me being, but the funniest thing was, I was in, I think it was the Oz Rock Cafe in the King's Cross area of Sydney. And I was sitting at the bar, and there was some woman next to me, girl, whatever. And we just strike up a conversation. We were just talking about nonsense. And she said, I love your accent, she said to me. And I'm like thinking, oh, that's right. The American accent. You know, we all tend to think we don't have an accent. She goes, I love your accent. Anyway, see, I'm laughing. It's funny, you know. But let's get back. But this is, you know, you know, I was gonna say this is a serious topic, but it's not. The whole thing is like, it's not. That's it. Don't take anything too seriously. That's the problem. And there's people out here just trying to make a buck because they want, you know, to make you take everything so seriously. You know, life's too short to be worried and stressed and freaked out. You know? So this thing that I'm doing, this living below the poverty line that I talk about all the time, I mean, should be a demonstration to you that the worst you can do is end up like this. You know? But what I was trying to say about yesterday, so I went upstairs, and so I'm watching some stuff, you know, I'm relaxing in my bedroom where I have my big screen TV, the one I had to take from the bar up there because the other one, you know, went on the blink. And, you know, I popped like a Tylenol or something like that, you know, because I'm having like, you know, after drinking, about 2 hours afterwards, you know, it's like I'm already getting like this little mini hangover type of thing. So you pay the price, you know, ultimately for everything, you know. So no days are perfect, you know. I mean, every now and then you do have a really good day. And when you have a day like that, you really ought to sit back or lie back in bed before you go to sleep and go, you know, today was a really good day. And you should really appreciate that. Too many people take a day when they, you know, when there's a stress-free day, or if they're older, or a day when they're not in pain, or a day when, you know, they don't have a problem with something. They take those days for granted. And then when they have a problem day, they get, you know, they blow it out of proportion, and it becomes, you know, like it's the end of the world. So you got to have like some kind of equilibrium in there. But like I'm saying, you know, at the poverty level, it's not that bad. I mean, as an option, it's the worst. What's the worst you could do? Put it that way. The worst you could do is you can end up being, you know, at the poverty level. Meaning you would get free health care, have to get food stamps, which is now called electronic, you know, benefits transfer, EBT. Some kind of housing allowance or Section 8 housing. And if you have a child or something like that, free daycare, a free cell phone. And that's the safety net we have. And then you just have to get yourself built up from there. You know, and remember, even if you had a lot of bills or something like that, they can't get blood from a stone, as they say. So it's like you can't worry about bills if you've got a situation where you're just down on your luck. There's nothing they could do. We don't have debtors' prisons, unless you committed a crime of some kind. So the worst you could do is end up in the safety net and use that and do those things like I've said, try to, and get yourself out of it. And maybe it takes time. Or you may adapt. Not many people do what I did, where you intentionally put yourself in a situation where you live below the poverty line because you wanted to be stress-free. Not because you wanted to take advantage of something or be some kind of whatever. Whatever people want to say. Critics. And I'll say this anytime I bring this up. No, I worked my entire life since I was a kid. All right? No. I'm not somebody who's like just sucking on the government teat. Okay? No. I worked. I've been a productive member of society, which is kind of a weird thing to think of yourself that way, because that ties into whole people as being cattle. But yeah, the worst case scenario, you reach out for help. Worst case scenario, you find a place where you can live detached from the madness. And like all the billionaires are doing, they're doing the complete opposite. They're all getting looking for dual citizenship and stuff and setting themselves up that when this house of cards falls down, they've got a place to save, a safety. So their safety net, save their hundreds of millions or billions. Remember, as I said, the music's playing now and everybody's enjoying it. But when the music stops, there's one, less chair than there are people. And you don't want to be the person without the chair. And you think, oh, well, I'll wait to see, there's always these people. We'll wait to see. And there's plenty of people like me who are out here trying to tell you, no, listen. All right? This is the former United States. It's a corporatocracy. Western civilization has fallen. The corporatocracies that are the various former nations of Western civilization are now being run by an organized crime syndicate. Accept it, learn it, know it, live it, deal with it. And the stuff that I'm not allowed to speak about, nobody's allowed to speak about, is worse than you thought it was. Okay? It's worse than you thought it was. It's worse than you could possibly even imagine what's gone on and what's being continued. All right? The thing is worse than you can imagine or ever in your wildest dreams. Right? Worse than some dystopian sci-fi movie. So no, we're not going to save America or build back better. All right? This is a plan, a long-term plan. All right? The Great Reset. All right? And all that nonsense, all of that said, they run out of ice cubes again. Also, my nose. Like sometimes I feel like like I blow my nose. But how much is in here? How much is in here? Let's see if we could take this thing here. I just lost the pick. It's like in that movie, A Piper is Down. A Piper is Down. I will be right back. I'm going to get some ice cubes. All right? Is that okay with you? I'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail or something like that.
Back when cars didn't have computers and gas stations still had payphones, I used to drive the interstate with a 6-pack and my favorite tunes. Traveling west into the sunset. The windows open, arm out the side. Feeling a warm breeze and smoking a cigarette.
That's my song. Driving down the road with the 6-pack and 8-track on. That song's a hit, man. Should be. Should have been. It's a classic. And that was one of my well-produced songs. I mean, I produced it myself, but I'll get a copyright hit for it probably, unfortunately. So, got the ice cubes, and that gives us a little time to talk. So I believe that it's possible for most people to survive and thrive. I haven't used that phrase in a while. To survive and thrive. And just forget about all this crazy stuff. I mean, what are you going to do? See, the thing is, that's why I always say protest and stuff like that are exercises in futility, just like voting is. Like when you know you live in a corporatocracy and big tech, big pharma, military contractors, central bankers, Wall Street, and all of these, groups, special interest groups, even, the lawyers in love, the, car associations and all. I mean, just the list goes on of all the people, the special interests that are just write the bills and control the politicians, pull their strings, including the cartels. That's where the organized crime syndicate's at the top, right? So when you put that into perspective and you see things like that, it's like, what do you think? Right? What do you think you're going to do? Right? Nothing. Nothing. There's nothing you can do. it's like confronting some gang somewhere. You're walking down an alley, you take a shortcut, down some alley, and there's like 6 gang members there. A couple guys with guns and a couple with knives. And you turn like you're going to turn around to go out the other side of the alley, and there's like 2 other dudes like swinging their switchblades, or their, those knives that kind of like go around, click around in a circle, It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to be rescued by a Marvel or DC comic hero, right? That's going to come down like Batwoman, right? Or Daredevil or something to save you. Because that's about it. So it's basically a no-win scenario. It's a no-win scenario. So the thing is, you don't want to put yourself in a no-win scenario. That's the answer. That's the solution to that problem. Some people are thinking, well, you've got to assess the situation, look, do the Clint Eastwood thing, look for the guy with the crazy eyes and go after him first, right? And all that stuff. Yeah. Well, that's the movies, right? I mean, So what do you have? You have like a couple of those ninja stars, an automatic weapon, and a couple of, blades on you, and you're going to take on, 8 seasoned gang member killers. Is that what you're going to do? No, it's called a no-win scenario. And the idea is not to put yourself into a no-win scenario. I mean, I could tell a story about how I got out of a bad situation once. But it wasn't in an alley at least, I mean, this might, since there's nobody watching live now, but I mean, later on there might be. This might be, some people might find this offensive. But I was once in a situation with a friend of mine where we were walking down a street, and it was a street. It wasn't an alley. And there was some kind of store, so it wasn't like completely in the middle of nowhere. There were cars parked along this street. And as we headed towards the corner store or something where their hangout was or whatever, one of these gang member guys like put his bike, you could see we're halfway down the block, and like rolled his bike so he was going to block the path of us getting through. And there was like 2 other guys. It was like 3 of them and 2 of us. And they were in front of a store, and like I say, it wasn't a dark alley or something like that. So there was a street, there were cars. The potential for other people to be around was there. So it was a situation of more of a, what would have turned into a, them beating us up, beating us to a pulp, and maybe stabbing us or something. No, it's a horrible situation to be into. This many years ago when I was very young. And the friend who I was with was scared out of his wits. And I said to him, look, man, just chill out. Follow my lead. There's nothing we can do. We couldn't turn around. If we turned around, they would have just like, it would have been like jumped us or something. I said, just don't say anything. Let me do the talking. Follow my lead. Okay. And he was like, he didn't know what to do. But I mean, he was like half listening to me. But at least he was like half listening to me. So he had no choice. So we get closer and closer and closer till we're finally there. And so the guy has his bike blocking our path on the sidewalk because it wasn't a big, long, wide sidewalk. And two of the other guys kind of got around us. And we're doing that, gang type, but, talk, And I said, I looked around at them. I didn't care about the guy with the bike because I knew his hands were on the bike. So I wasn't really worried about him right away. Because these other two guys were the wild cards. And they were the ones mouthing off, right? And I think one of them, I was pretty clear one of them had his hand in his pocket or something. Like he had a knife or something. I said, listen, man. And I snapped. I kind of you got to get crazy in that situation. So it wasn't like I was being calm about it. I said, look, I don't know what your plan is. And I was saying this pretty much top of my voice in a rather crazy way to just get on their level. I said, I don't know what you guys are thinking or what you're planning, what your game is, but here's how it's going to play out. All right? You guys want to come at us. You guys want to get into this thing. What I'm going to do is, no matter what happens, I'm going to reach the best I can at one of your eyes, one of you three guys, and I'm going to pull your eye out of the socket, all right? And I'm going to crush it with my foot. And you could stab me and kill me after that, but I'm telling you, one of you guys is leaving this scene tonight with either one eye or totally blind. So, you want to move that fucking bike out of my way, or do one of you guys want to end up blind? And then there was all this shuck and jive type talk, blah, blah, blah. And I said, move the fucking bike. We've got no time to play games. And they were like, the guy slid the bike back and we walked and got out of there. Because I scared the shit out of them. You say. Graphic. I know that's, it's highly offensive to some people hearing that, including the profanity. But in that situation, it worked. Because they realized that in some kind of brawl thing, even with knife and all that stuff, it was quite possible that I would be able to reach into somebody's ocular cavity and pull out their eye. They'd never heard anything so insane before in their life. And we go, that guy's sick. In fact, I think one of the guys was, as we were walking away, you're crazy, man. You're crazy. Something like that. And my friend's shaking, shivering. I'm surprised he didn't wet his pants. And, we walked on to wherever we were going. And I said, and I was shaking too, I said, well, that was interesting. Yeah. That's a weird story, isn't it? It's a weird story. That got rid of every listener. People don't know real life. They don't have real life experiences. This is life for most people. on your sit-down mower mowing your golf course around your house with a 3-car garage. The price of real estate is sky high, which means the taxes go up and your cost goes up. And you won't be able to maintain that indefinitely. People need to start scaling down and realize there's a lot of crazies out there. And just live a regular life and pursue happiness. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's a crazy story. It's a true story, though. I wasn't kidding. That's what I really did. You know? So.
Making up the rules as we go along.
This is a nightmare. It must be a nightmare.
No, it's not a nightmare. It's just real life. That's the thing. See, what we're experiencing is real life. And most people have been experiencing video games. Okay? Video game life. Artificial reality, virtual reality, augmented reality, and superhero movies and TV shows. And then playing with the damn things all day long. And it's like, no. Netflix due tomorrow. I just got a notification. I canceled Netflix. So if there's anything I'm watching on Netflix, I have to make sure I watch it today. Tonight. So, yeah, you know, I just was trying to say that when I look at, you know, my life and the life I've had in the past, the bonus image, look at the eyes on Ann Margaret, you know. Look at the skin on that girl, the body, perfection of it. The food I grow, you know, a wild redhead. That you can have it all. You can have it all. You know, it takes time. You got to get back on your feet, but you just got to make a move, you know. You got to figure out, you got to look at life and then scale yourself down and, you know, decide where you want to live, how you want to live, and do it. Happiness isn't going to come from a 3-car garage and a frickin' sit-down lawnmower. Boy, do those people annoy me. I'm so glad I don't have anybody around me like that. Next to me is a doctor's office. There's the crazy lady, and I know that's not, people don't like that, hear that talk, crazy, you know, especially people in the profession, mental health profession. But yeah, she's crazy. She's criminally insane. So I think I could call her crazy. Yeah, she's a nutbag. All right? We got to realize that sometimes. Some people are beyond any kind of, you know, any kind of help. You know, they just, you know, they're lost. Beyond recognition, you know, and reaching and even prescription drugs. Psychos. You know, we have people like that. And it's like your best bet is to avoid those people completely. And yeah, so that psycho does mow her ridiculous, nonsensical lawn far too much, which annoys the shit out of me. And like I say, I have a push mower. It's, just a literally old-fashioned push mower. No, not electric, not gas, nothing. Human power. So I don't bother anybody, including myself. But yeah, you got to get your priorities straight. This thing's coming down. This is happening. It's happening in 3 to 6 months, man. This is no joke. All the indicators are out there. All the people in the know are talking about it. It's like the canary in the coal mine. Or it's like watching, it's like when there's a storm and you look up in the sky, or you don't even know there's a storm or something coming, and you see all these birds flying in a direction. Or you're out in the woods and suddenly you see deer and moose and all these animals running. Right? And behind it is a forest fire. Or if in the case of the birds, there might be a tornado or something coming. Right? Or the canary in a coal mine, there's a poisonous gas. All right? Well, all the signs are there right now. We've got everything. We've got the birds, the canary in the coal mine, and we've got all the, the animals running for their lives. And people are sitting around, I'm going to meme, text. I think I'll donate to the Save America campaign. Isn't it great? We're building back better. Hopefully they pass that infrastructure bill. This child tax credit thing is going to be really nice. What are you going to do with your $432 check you just got and your $300 one you're going to get next month per child? And that's not you, unless you're living in the poverty line. And I don't think that's my audience. Okay? No. The fact of the matter is, you probably have some money in the bank. You probably have a job or are tied to some kind of job, hoping for to go back to work, living in some place that's overpriced or will be, That was a belch. Carbonated beverages. Why I got back on this kick, I don't know. Hey, I'm just human too, man. I got my frailties and mistakes and stupid things I do too. But you got to get you got to get your act together, man. You got to get your act together. You don't have much time. The music's going to be stopping and you're not going to have a chair. And it's going to be too late then. Far too late. I need to add some. Tomorrow my mustache will be darker. When I take a shower today, I'll put a little bit of my. I bought this stuff at the Dollar Tree, and it didn't have the tubes the way it usually does for this. Like this, it's a makeshift just for men type of thing. Darken up your sideburns and your, goatee and soul patch, right? Which is fine. We all have a little bit of vanity, right? There's no need, there's no need to look like some old fogey. Even if you are aging, right? If you look good, you feel good. That's another thing. You look good, you feel good. It's a positive thing, you know. Get a suntan. It's summertime. You know, get some color in your face. You know, you feel better. Not only because you boost your immune system and you get that extra vitamin D and all that stuff, but, you know, you look good, you feel good. You know, it helps. Positive thinking. Everything positive, right? Just don't take prescription drugs for any kind of thing. You know, forget about perfection. We all got imperfections. Imperfections are fine, all right? Decent people can deal with people's imperfections. You don't want to be around somebody who you have to make yourself perfect for, because obviously that person's not perfect for you. Because if they are looking for perfection, then they don't really care about you, love you, or are a good friend. You know, they're superficial. So that thing's not going to end well. So why start it? Or continue it? And if somebody's going to judge you by how much money you have and where you live, it's the same thing. You know, what kind of person is that? You know, you could, as long as you provide a roof over somebody's head, food in their stomach, and a good time. I mean, what the heck? Does it have to be a cookie cutter house? And do you have to have the golf course, sit down lawnmower? You know, that's not your soulmate. Trust me. Superficial, materialistic idiots, you know. But that's the only way to survive right now, is to reduce your cost of living greatly. Greatly. And to reduce your dependency upon the corporatocracy. That doesn't necessarily mean the various safety nets and things like that are out there, because they're not going to be taken away. You know, the reason they're not. It's just like this recent thing that they passed, this child tax credit / payment. I talked to somebody a couple of days ago, and they said, "That's a tax credit. It's not. They're not giving money out." I said, "No." I looked into it. It's a payment. I got a letter from a senator. I did a show on it a couple of days ago. It said they already had sent out the first payment of $432 or something like that. The reason they're doing that is because they don't want the U.S. to erupt into chaos like South Africa and other parts of the world. They don't want the poor to go crazy and start looting and cause mayhem, and it to spill over all over the cities and all over the country. They can't handle it. Remember, there's only a couple thousand ruling elite, and like I said before, there's 326 million people living here. So how does a couple of thousand of ruling elitists manage 326 million people? All right? You know, that's not an easy task. Well, they lie to them, they deceive them, they divert their attention, they do all this, that, the other, and they hand them money and pacify them. And so the best thing that could happen, if you watch that show that I pretty much dedicated to this particular child tax credit thing, I ended it by saying, you know, I'm glad they did it. Because what that means is, particularly in a neighborhood like I live in, which is a multicultural, poverty-stricken neighborhood, more or less, but it's decent and it's clean, you know. For some reason, my headphones are just like sliding down. It's weird. Is that, you know, these people are going to be happy. I don't have any kids, right? So I'm not getting any $432 or $300 per kid. But like I say, that money doesn't go to the children. The children already have free food, free medical, free daycare, a roof over their head, right? They got their free cell phone or whatever. Go to school, get picked up by the school bus, or do whatever. They got all that stuff. So the parents are going to have extra money. But they're still at the poverty level, so they're getting cash. I'm jealous, Give me $300 or $600, right? I could do something with that, But that's going to keep them pacified, and that's what that's all about. And people don't get that. They don't understand how that the corporatocracy. See, you had to be in the corporate world to understand why I call it a corporatocracy. See, when you're in a corporation, you have boardrooms. You have conference rooms, all right? And people get together and they meet and discuss things. People prepare PowerPoint presentations, right? Get up at the front of the room or at the head of the table, pass out various papers, or have some, like I say, maybe an electronic thing or something on the screen, and they solve problems. That's what corporations do. They're in business to raise finances, to increase their profit quarter over quarter, year over year, right? To be successful. All right. And people within the corporation want to move up the ladder, the corporate ladder. That's how it works. And so this country is a corporatocracy. All right. And so they've already thought all this stuff out. They've already had their meetings. That's what they do at Davos every year. That's where the ruling elite, meet. And they get together and they have their PowerPoint presentations, their meetings in conference rooms. They even have their little cocktail parties where they gather in little groups and pull somebody aside and make little side deals. And they speak to the media, and it's covered by Bloomberg and CNBC and stuff. It's not like it's hidden. And it's the World Economic Forum, and it's known, and they have a website, and the Great Reset is right on the front page, or at least it was a while back. And they said they were going to take advantage of this thing, the unspeakable thing, to usher in this Great Reset. It's all been planned and talked out, worked out. And now we're learning that this other thing, this thing, has also been more or less planned and thought out. And that's what's really scary. That's what's really scary. And that's why you got to boost your immune system. And start eating healthy, getting sun. Right? And being happy too. Like losing your stress. Because the thing about it is, remember, the leading cause of death in the U.S. is still heart disease. And when you tie in stroke and, type 2 diabetes and all these other things that are related to that, you get to 1 million people a year are dying. All right? Because of bad diet and stress. Okay? And so get out of your stressful situation and start eating healthy and getting a good dose of sun. It's the summertime here in the U.S. of A. Former U.S. So eat healthy. All right? And reduce your stress. I've talked about this before. And you can talk to your doctor about things like that. They'll tell you. They've told me, there's people who are under stress that are at more risk for a heart for a heart attack or heart problems, than skinny person, so to speak, right? Than somebody who's overweight. It's like the classic jolly fat man, lives to be 80 or 90. And you're going like, that defies all logic. And he's eating at McDonald's, right? And then some guy keels over in his 50s of a heart attack because he's stressed out at his job or his life. We've seen this time and time again. It's a classic story. You go to these government websites, you'll see that. Stress kills, man. So you gotta get stress out of your life. And if you're watching TV news and like addicted to social media and all this crap, this fear mongering that's going on, it's just stressing you out. Instead, you need to pursue happiness and fun. Think about it. You could do it, You just got to set your mind to it and realize it. Get your priorities, put your ducks in a row. Think about it. Look at your finances, look at your lifestyle, see what changes you can do to make your life less stressful and more happy and fulfilling. You don't have to sacrifice your quality of life. And the people that you want to be around are people who will accept you for that and who think similarly. Because another part of stress is having to be a phony with somebody, not being your true self, not just being you. Well, anyway, I think we can end there.
Good morning.
Have a good morning. Thanks for watching. Visit TonyCaravanLive.com, GreatSolarStuff.com, and look at all the stuff I got there and, get something. Help support the